Hello everyone and welcome to our Facebook Live with the Sleeve Chef.
Hi everybody, how are we doing tonight?
My name is Jana Wolff and I am the Director of Nutrition at the Comprehensive Obesity Management Program, and we have our lovely host.
Hi everybody, Michael Salomon here, the Sleeve Chef. Good to see everybody.
We are cooking up a lovely, amazing pizza party. Now this is one of my favorite foods. I actually consider it one of my trigger foods, which we'll be talking about a little bit in a second. But it's a good way to have a substitute for something that is super high in carbs, super high in fat. So we're going to look at a couple of different recipes with interesting toppings.
Oh yeah.
And something that you might like, but of course you could put any toppings on it. So Mike, why don't you start us out by telling us what we're going to be cooking tonight?
Yeah guys, so we're having a pizza party. I love pizza. Pizza was definitely one of my trigger foods when I was pre-op and as I'm post-op now. Love pizza. Cauliflower crust really provides a very simple alternative to those traditional higher fat, doughy carbohydrate filled pizza crusts that you might be familiar with. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a cauliflower pizza crust that we're going to be making. We're going to be showing you how to prepare the cauliflower, to actually rice it to get to that proper consistency. And then we're also going to show you, we're making 3 pizzas. We're making caprese pizza, which is going to have a buffalo milk mozzarella cheese, some fresh tomato, some marinara sauce, some basil, and finally finish with some aged balsamic vinegar.
That'll be a nice one for the summer.
Yum, yum,
Very
yum.
fresh.
And then we'll do another sort of a fun spin on a good old-fashioned original. So there'll be a pepperoni pizza with some smoked Gouda cheese. So a really nice richness there. And then finally we'll do some turkey pepperoni. So like a traditional, almost like a white pizza. So it'll have no sauce on it. We'll use a little extra virgin olive oil on the crust. And we'll do that with some turkey pepperoni, which will be a bit healthier because it'll be a higher protein, lower sodium as well.
A little bit of lower fat too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we'll have put some goat cheese on there, as well as some sauteed baby bella mushrooms with some rosemary as well. So really healthy, really delicious, simple, straightforward food.
Yeah, and it's going to be a thin crust, just like I like it in New York.
Exactly.
So now, first I want to define what a trigger food is, because we just kind of use this word, and it's a food that when you think about it, see it, hear it, smell it, you have to have it, and when you do have it, you overeat it typically.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay? So I call it my blackout moments, where you have the food and all of a sudden it's gone. So if you know of any of these foods, it's good to identify them at first. But if pizza is one of your trigger foods, then this is a really good replacement.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I just want to thank everyone that has joined us so far. Chris Kraft, John McCarthy. Hi, how are you?
Hi, everybody.
Tanya, thank you for joining, and Christy. And hey, Tanya. And Heather, thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah,
All
guys,
right, so
please, if you have any questions. Yeah, guys, so first we'll start off right with the base, right? So we'll start off with our actual head of cauliflower. So cauliflower is a vegetable, as you all know.
Cruciferous.
Oh, why, thank you. Cruciferous.
High in vitamin K.
High.
And C.
There you go.
All right,
Who knew?
go on.
I'll take it. All right, so you're going to be preparing this. I definitely recommend buying. This is a really good topic that Jen and I talked a bit about before the show. We talked about pre-made cauliflower crusts versus homemade cauliflower crusts.
Right, and
so
major differences. And we've talked about this all over the Facebook group before. People posting different types of frozen cauliflower crusts that are pre-made, and some of them are good, and some of them are not as good, right? So the cauliflower pizza is higher in starches, so they actually use a rice flour, brown rice flour, to bind it. The best way to tell if a cauliflower crust is good or not, in terms of the carbohydrate content, is that if it is over 15 carbs per serving, then it probably has starch in it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So
exactly.
It's just a little tip.
And so one of the things you'll see is that we actually used an egg, a single egg, as a binder for our cauliflower crust that we had made before the show. So to break down this head of cauliflower, guys, first we're going to strip away those leaves that you'll see on the outside here. So you've got the core here, and you really want these florets. This is the piece that you want. So what you'll do is you'll take the cauliflower, and you'll just very simply, very carefully cut off that core. That'll give you a flat surface on which to work, which is very critical, so you're not rocking back and forth with that knife.
Yes, safety first, please.
Absolutely. And then what we'll do is we'll cut right down the middle of the head of cauliflower. And what we were doing is we're exposing that core. So as you can see with this cauliflower head, it's very clear. You'll see your stems here, your florets here, and then your core is right in the middle here. So all we're going to do is just follow that outline and cut along these sides, almost use it as a guide, cut along these sides for your cauliflower.
Oh, and we have so many people joining us. Tracy, Erica, Amy, Greg, Nikki, Jasmine,
hi, guys.
Chanel, Latanya, Lucy, Sharon, Yvette, Polly. Hello, everyone.
Thank you so much.
I know some of you guys. So, this
all
is
of our
giving
friends
me
are
deja
coming to the
vu.
pizza party. This is
I was
great.
just thinking, this is giving me deja vu because we, a very long time ago, maybe even last year, we did a cauliflower rice.
We did.
And now we're going to do the same exact thing for the cauliflower pizza.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, guys. So you can see here, remember where that core was previously was right here. So you see I literally used it as a guide and followed along the outside of that core, followed along that side of that core, and just pulled it right out.
So we're not using that because it's too hard, probably.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Correct. It's just a little bit bitter as well, so something you want to watch out for. So you want to make sure you have a nice clear cutting board as well. So then as we'll see here, so you can actually pull this apart now.
And now, fresh and frozen, I mean, fresh is, in my opinion, fresh is always best, but if you got the frozen riced cauliflower, if you were super busy and you just wanted to throw it into the food processor, that's okay. They typically process it and freeze it right away,
Yep.
so it's pretty fresh.
Yeah, I would also really focus there as well on moisture content, because the higher that moisture content is, so whenever you freeze anything, all you're doing is freezing that water, and as soon as it thaws, all that extra moisture is going to be sitting there inside of that cauliflower, and will be released. And so you want to be careful is you want to basically either put your cauliflower into a towel,
Yes.
and then just
Squeeze
drain that
it
water out
out,
of it.
yeah.
Exactly, squeeze that
Yeah.
water out of it.
Yeah. And Bobby, thanks for joining us. And Latanya, congratulations to your friend. Jane, thank you. And you guys can feel absolutely free to send in any of your questions. I have a great question from Tanya, going back to the different types of pizza crusts. And Pie 5 has been a really popular pizza place,
have.
right? Because they finally a pizza place has cauliflower crust.
Absolutely.
I don't know why every other place doesn't have cauliflower crust. Am I right?
Yeah,
So,
great question. Great point.
So the Pie 5 one though is perfect. It's 9 grams of carbs per slice. So there are about 4 servings per that small pizza. So you just have to pay attention to that if you're going to have more than one small slice. What I would do is just to save yourself a little bit of calories. Do less cheese because they're not going to have low-fat cheese. So do a little bit less cheese and get yourself some protein on top of that pizza. And I'm not talking about the high-fat, protein, but more so like the chicken. And then throw some veggies on there, and it's a great pizza.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
These leaner proteins are definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
So also here, guys, so one thing we want to show you is, so you hear the term ricing the cauliflower, right? Cauliflower rice. So ricing is actually a culinary term. It's typically done with mashed potatoes, where you'll see ricing. There's actual ricer where you'll have a mill that you'll basically turn to create.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. So you'll
I love when I learn things.
traditional mashed potatoes. You'll boil the potatoes, drain them, and then you'll rice them, which will make them very fine. And literally just a crank turn that will rice it, make it very, very fine. And so for this cauliflower, one of the things we want to look at here, let me grab my spatula. One of the things we want to look at here is we want to be mindful that there aren't larger pieces in here. So for example, this, right? If I were to use this, if I were to make the crust now, I would have this big hunk of cauliflower in there and it just wouldn't turn out properly.
Right.
So you want to be really mindful. And I recommend using a spatula for this because you really don't want to be sticking your fingers in there with that blade still sitting in there. So just move it around a bit here and see, you'll be able to see those larger pieces. So move them closer to the blade, put it right back on your the body of your food processor, and then
this
go back
is probably
through.
a really cool, little meal to plan with your family too. If you wanted to have a pizza party with your family, the kids would love making something like this.
I also recommend doing a smaller batch. So for example, here we used a half a head of cauliflower rather than trying to put the entire thing in. Because it's just easier because you have much more quality control when you use that half batch, those smaller batches, than you do with a larger batch.
Right. Now, going back to the different types of pizza crusts, you can also get mostly online. There are some stores that sell it, but you have to go online and check which stores actually sell this. outer aisle cauliflower flats. Okay, so outer aisle cauliflower pizza flats. And cauliflower. So flour like Flour, cauliflower. Those are two really good products that you can get. And also, there's something called No Wraps, so KNOW wraps, and you can actually make a pizza on top of that if you want to, okay, because they're thin wraps. And I want to thank Shotzi and Jean and Deb and Anna Maria for joining us. And please let us know if you have any questions as we're going along. Feel free. This is an open forum. And what else do we have going on here?
Yeah, guys. So, so we really want to focus on, for that final product here for the rice, for the cauliflower rice. See how this is very fine? This is one of the key things here to note. This is going to be very, very fine, almost mealy. It'll look like a meal. That's something really important. That's what you're looking for your cauliflower. Okay. And then you're just going to simply put this into a bowl, into a stainless steel bowl. You'll want to feel through it once with your hands. Again, checking for those larger chunks. If they're in there, either just discard them or put everything back into the Roboku and give it another mix. And then from there, you put those into a stainless steel mixing bowl, add a single egg in. So we're using a head of cauliflower that we've broken down into florets that we've then riced in our Roboku or food processor, however you want to term it. And then we're going to put that into our stainless steel mixing bowl where we add in a single egg. The egg will act as a much more natural binder. Jan and I again were talking about this with you'll see, this is where people tend to get into trouble with the cauliflower the pre-made ones, is what are they using for the binder? Are they using a high fat content? Are they using a starch? How are they actually bringing everything together? Because cauliflower won't bind by itself. You'll have to add some sort of ingredient, in our case an egg, to it, then just a little salt and pepper.
Some people, like Pie 5 actually adds a little bit of almond flour to it.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
so you can play around with some of the recipes.
Right, and don't be afraid to ask as well. That's the other key thing too.
And so Polly was asking, can rice cauliflower be frozen? And yes, definitely it
Absolutely,
can.
yep.
Because you can buy it already frozen, but even if you did it like this, I'm sure it can be frozen.
Absolutely,
correct?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So let's go over to our oven here, and we'll go ahead and grab our pre-made cauliflower crust.
Okay, and this is what Michael calls the magic of TV or smell-o-vision.
Magic of television. So we've got our pre-made cauliflower crust here, guys. As you can see, I laid this out almost like a flatbread style. So what's fun with this as well is you can play around with it. So if you want to do a flatbread is the exact same crust as a pizza. It's just laid out differently. So it's laid out more rectangularly as opposed to a pizza that's laid out circular.
Okay. All right. And I have another question. Is an almond flour a starch? So don't get confused by the word flour. Almond flour is just pure almonds ground up finely, and it makes a nice flour. And what's good about that is that it is low carb, but the downside is that it is very high in fat. So I would recommend following the serving size on that, which is typically anywhere from a few tablespoons to a fourth of a cup. And if you follow the serving size, you're having it in moderation, and you won't blow up all the calories. Okay.
Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be really mindful of those serving sizes. That's a key thing to focus on when you're reading a label. Is looking at both calorie content, ingredients, and also serving size. Serving size arguably being the most important in my opinion.
Yes, definitely. And Amy was asking, is he using a stone or a metal tray? We're using a metal tray.
Yep. So I used a regular metal tray. I put some.
Stones.
Yeah,
Tell
you could definitely. I was gonna say you could definitely use a pizza stone. It tends to be more non-stick, which is what you're looking for here. I didn't have any parchment at home. Yay me! So I ended up using extra virgin olive oil to act as a grease for my pan, basically. And I actually found out that worked out a bit better than the parchment paper did, because I found that the crust actually stuck to the parchment paper, and it was just really sort of difficult bringing it off the parchment. So we're starting off here, guys. We're taking a little bit of marinara sauce, and we're just going to take it and just go across our pizza, just much the same way you would make a traditional pizza.
And when you're picking out marinara sauces or pizza sauces, you just want to look at the label and make sure that it's 5 grams of sugar or less, because they sometimes tend to add sugar. You can make your own pizza sauce as well. That's fine, and then you won't be adding sugar. I also do just for a moment, want to thank everyone who's just come on. We're kind of in the midst of making these cauliflower crusts, and we're making a few different types of cauliflower crusts, or cauliflower pizzas, if you will. And I want to thank Debbie and Nicole and Sandy for joining us, Guinea, and so Tanya was asking, I'm noticing you use particular utensils like stainless steel bowls and see-through cutting boards. Is that just your preference, or are they healthier to use? And
what was the question?
So like your particular things that you're using, like stainless steel, you know, if you're using a clear cutting board, etc., are they healthier to use, or is it just your preference?
It's a preference. Okay. Honestly, it's just you have a better quality. So you're going to get a better result as a result of using the stainless steel mixing bowl versus, I mean, you can use plastic if you want. Stainless steel is just a preference for me. Plastic tends to chip, whereas stainless steel does not. So those chips will lead to bacteria, which will lead to all sorts of impact to the food itself.
And Anna Maria, you were asking what the link is for this. If you can get onto your computer and go onto Facebook and click on the GBMC group, it'll be a link right there on the page. Okay.
So we are using these beautiful pepperonis that we grabbed. These are traditional pepperonis. They're usually made with pork.
Okay. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to answer another question. The online cauliflower crusts. Outer aisle cauliflower pizza. Outer aisle cauliflower pizza. And the no wraps, so K-N-O-W wraps, and the cauliflower, so it's Cali like C-A-L-I, and flour like F-L-O-U-R, okay? And this is looking great. What kind of cheese is that?
So this is just some Gouda. So this is just a delicious...
Shaved Gouda.
Yeah.
Or shredded Gouda.
Shredded Gouda, yeah.
You know, that's not something that I see often.
Exactly, that's why I picked it up.
That looks great.
Yeah, so it's a really fun spin. Normally when you think pizza, you think mozzarella cheese, which is always good. People love mozzarella cheese, but by changing that simple ingredient, it adds one more layer of complexity and interest to your dish.
And this would be great for a party if you were having people over and you wanted to do small appetizers. You can make the big ones and then cut them into little pieces.
I definitely, the other thing I recommend too, guys, is if I were to make this again, which I'm going to, is I would go a bit thicker with my crust, because cauliflower won't bind the same way that a dough will. So you'll really want to be able to have that little bit thicker crust, almost like a 1/4 of an inch, to make it easier to actually hold together.
Yes.
When you're serving it.
Did you get that shaved Gouda at Harris Teeter?
I did.
Okay, so that was Harris Teeter, Amy.
That was Harris Teeter, correct.
And then where can you purchase the crust? The crusts we're making from scratch, but the ones that I recommended are mostly online products. So all you would have to do is Google like no wraps, K-N-O-W wraps.
I'm sure Amazon has it.
Amazon.
All the major suppliers.
You just get the cheapest one.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we've got some nice beefsteak tomatoes here, guys. So we're going to put these, give these some nice thin slices for these beefsteak tomatoes.
And now I do have another recommendation. If you've had enough of the cauliflower crust and you want to try a different kind of crust, there is a ground chicken or turkey pizza crust. So some people make it actually with canned chicken. Some people make it with a ground lean chicken, but you pat it flat and you put, like some basil and some mozzarella or Parmesan in it. You can obviously look up the recipe, but it's a ground chicken crust, and you pat it flat, bake it, and it comes out crispy. The best way to do this is to get I think a pizza stone. I think a pizza stone is the best because it will really crisp up the bottom of anything that you put onto it, because it's really transferring a lot of heat. Where'd you get the pepperoni? I'm guessing Harris Teeter.
Very good.
I'm thinking that he went on a trip to Harris Teeter and got everything.
So we also got some nice fresh buffalo milk mozzarella here as well, guys. So this is going to add, again, it's one more layer of complexity to your dish. As opposed to that traditional shredded store mozzarella, this is going to be a bit lighter. As well as, I love the way this looks from a presentation standpoint on your pizza. Beautiful.
And Tanya, why don't you tell us how you liked both the ground chicken and turkey crusts? We have a listener who has already tried them.
Yeah, please. We'd love to hear about it.
And the wraps were called no wraps, K-N-O-W, no wraps. All right. And thank you, everyone's helping me. I appreciate that.
All right, so we've got our pizzas here. We've got our pepperoni and Gouda, and we also have our caprese pizza here. So I'm going to go ahead and put, so you can see here we've got our beefsteak tomatoes. We've got our buffalo milk mozzarella. So we're ready there. We're going to go ahead and pop that in the oven in a second once I get the next pizza ready.
All right.
So we will do so this is going to be more of a white pizza. So we're going to use a little extra virgin olive oil for our sauce. Where we use a marinara sauce for the original 2 pizzas. I really like this because, again, it's just a nice spin for people, and again, just one more sort of layer of complexity.
And we just got a great question. And Kimmy said that the chicken crusts are awesome. That's great. Hello, Hope. Welcome.
Hi, Hope.
With the crust. Okay, wait, Chris. 1 second. We have a question about the Trader Joe's pizza, which we were just talking about right before the episode. And basically, the Trader Joe's pizza falls right in the middle because it's about 17 grams of carbs per slice, and it's a small slice. And the only problem is that it does have cornmeal. It has a couple of different starches in it. So I wouldn't use that during your 3 weeks prior to surgery, starch-free, and your 6 months post-op starch-free.
Yeah, such a great point about reading labels, because that's really something that you don't really think about it as much. But as you begin, I mean, I didn't really think about it as much as when I was pre-op. But as you begin to learn more about eating healthy and really focusing on what is in the food that I'm eating, because you don't want to get caught off guard and have dumping syndrome or some sort of issue with your stomach, where you're just really uncomfortable because you found out that there was a load of cornstarch in your cauliflower crust, which is actually could potentially spike your sugar as well.
And then even just like, minimizing your weight losses and not getting your protein in because you're too full from the starches. Things like that, too, that are kind of longer term, not such immediate issues.
Exactly.
Oh, look at those mushrooms.
Yum, yum,
yum.
Yum.
Okay, so we had a question from Chris as to whether or not you can do this on a grill, and I'm going to go ahead and say it'll probably fall apart, but you could do it on a stone and a grill.
All right, yes.
What do you think?
So that is a great question. I love grilled pizza crusts. One of the reasons that works is because there's actual binder in there, so it's going to be able to stretch and be elastic. So you have some flexibility with that grill. If you want to try to do a grilled cauliflower crust, it's going to be a challenging thing to pull off, candidly, only because, again, you're not dealing with traditional elasticity of dough. So you could definitely try it. If you really kind of want to go down that route, honestly, I'd probably do a smoke it. I'd smoke it before I would grill it. So I would initially bake it in an oven, and then right when it's about actually, you might be able to low and slow it. Scratch that.
We're thinking out loud.
Rewind.
Yeah.
So we'll do it as a smoker, but put it on a plate, sit it up top, like a stone, for example, and then smoke it. Because you really get that low and slow is actually going to work out really well for it. You might just, again, add one more layer to it.
Good, great. Okay, and the Pie 5 pizza is a go. Thank you, Yvette. And Cindy, welcome. And Clarissa, welcome. Jay, welcome. And Nancy.
So great. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone.
Yes. I'm glad that you can join us. And those that have just joined us, we've been making some really awesome pizzas.
We have been
I'm not going to lie, I am
pizzas.
excited to try the Gouda one. So it's Gouda and...
Gouda and pepperoni.
And pepperoni.
Yeah, so this is an uncured pepperoni is what we use.
Okay, so fancy, basically.
Yeah, fancy pepperoni.
And then we're making a caprese salad pizza with just some mozzarella, basil, tomatoes, and the balsamic.
So caprese, for reference, is a very traditional salad in Italian cuisine, where it's beefsteak tomatoes that are sliced thick with balsamic, with all those same ingredients. Except we're just putting on top of a pizza as opposed to doing it as a serving by itself.
What's not good over pizza.
Exactly.
Okay. And then, so some feedback about the different crusts, the chicken versus the turkey crust. Chicken was better. It didn't shrink like the turkey. Delicious on the pizza stone. Added pepperoni and sauces. The kids added all the veggies. And we have personal size stones, so that's
Perfect.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah, guys, that's great.
A
I definitely
personal
like.
size stone. That's really cool.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I definitely like the idea of being able to do a chicken. I would definitely recommend using the ground chicken breast as opposed to trying to doing chicken in a can, because chicken in a can, one, it's just, you don't know, it's going to have such high sodium. It's just it doesn't.
It is packed in water usually. It
typically, yeah, it's just not going to give you the result that you're looking for, in my opinion.
Okay, good. So the crusts and wraps that I was talking about, you typically have to get them online, and that's the best way to do it because then you won't be searching around for them. Can you use spinach versus basil on the caprese pizza?
Absolutely.
You absolutely can. It'll just be a different flavor.
Exactly.
You know, the basil has a stronger flavor.
Yep.
And the spinach will just have some, you know, more of a mild flavor, but some more
But if you want to
vitamins
sub
and
out,
minerals.
if you prefer arugula, for example, like arugula would be great on this, because again, there's a lot of those same flavor characteristics. If you want that little bit of pepperiness from the arugula, that's always
With
great.
bitterness and
Absolutely.
And then all of these pizza choices that we're talking about are good for those that are on a starch-free diet, as one question, as Anna Maria asked.
Yep, so we've got our wonderful little turkey pepperoni here as well.
Yes.
We're going to slide that on. Let me slide this over.
And, you know, from a nutrition standpoint, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but turkey pepperoni is going to be the better choice over like salami or regular pepperoni, just because it's much leaner. You'll get more protein out of it. And over time, if you're using something like this as a protein source, you always want to choose the leaner of the two.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So then we're going to add just some fresh, delicious chev, so goat cheese on here as well.
Okay.
Again, just adding a little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of richness from that goat cheese.
So show of hands in the audience, who likes goat cheese? I do.
Yum, yum, yum. We are getting a thumbs down and
we're getting a thumbs up
up
and a thumbs down. Anyone else? Anyone in Facebook land like goat cheese?
Guys, goat cheese, yay, nay? I love goat cheese.
Oh, it's so great. It's so creamy. Now, you say chev and then you say goat cheese. Are these interchangeable?
That is a great question, and the answer is yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Is it just a different...
Chev is goat cheese is chev.
Okay. Why?
It's just a naming convention.
Okay.
It's like, for example, you know, it's marketing, right? So, you know, in French cuisine, you're having escargot. It's light and delicious, and if they called it snails, nobody would eat it.
Good point.
Let's be honest,
good point.
right? Let's be honest here.
All
right, guys. So we are ready to go into our oven.
Oh,
so we've got all of our pizzas here. So we've got our caprese pizza on the left. We've got our caprese pizza on the left. Make sure we got a nice viewpoint for everybody. Let me get my towel over here.
I think the majority of people love goat cheese.
Yeah, I love good. Oh, womp, womp, womp.
Okay.
So we've got our caprese pizza on the left here, guys. We got some fresh heirloom tomato, and some buffalo milk mozzarella cheese. We've got our pepperoni and Gouda pizza on the middle. And then finally, our white pizza with some turkey pepperoni, baby bell mushrooms with rosemary, and some goat cheese.
Okay, so that answered Sue's question. And Anna Maria, yes, feta is awesome.
Oh,
you could switch out feta with that if you don't love the goat cheese or the chev.
Absolutely. And feta is actually going to have less fat. Feta is the lowest, I believe, the lowest fat cheese out there. So if you like feta, you can absolutely swap out feta for that goat cheese. It is going to be incredible.
Dietitian approved. And Janine, thank you for joining us. Chris, you don't have to wring out the cauliflower if you're doing it like this, but if you have frozen cauliflower that you buy in the freezer section, then you do want to wring it out because it's going to have some extra moisture in it. Feta is not goat cheese, in fact. So, Missy, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Missy.
No, feta and goat cheese are pretty different. Actually, the goat cheese has a nice creaminess to it.
Creaminess, nuttiness to it.
Creaminess, nuttiness, all very different from the feta, which is crumbly and harder.
Exactly, Goat cheese, again, so goat cheese is literally from the milk of a goat versus feta, which I believe is a cow's milk cheese. And that's, again, going to be from the milk of a cow.
Yeah, and Brenda,
cow's milk cheese comes from cows, guys. Who knew?
Yeah, I mean, you know, These things, nutrition's hard.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. So we've got our 2 pizzas here. Thank you for the power of television.
Yep.
We've got our pizzas right out of the oven here. So we've got our pepperoni pizza down here. We've got our caprese pizza up here. So we're going to show you how to finish these. So we're not going to add anything to finish the pepperoni pizza, but we are going to add just some more fresh basil to our pizza here for our caprese. You don't want to add your basil beforehand. One more time, you don't want to add your basil beforehand. If you add your basil beforehand, all that's going to happen is it's going to wilt and it's going to get bitter. You don't want that.
We don't want that.
Nobody likes sad, wilty, bitter basil.
Oh, right.
You want happy, light, fresh basil.
Ooh, a good report from Sue. Goat cheese is on sale, or it has good prices at Trader Joe's. That's awesome. And then Patty came in late. The video will repeat. You can always check it out on the Facebook page at GBMC. And
so let me show you what we're doing here, guys. So we're doing a little julienne basil. So we've got our basil leaves. We've stacked them up. Again, I'm just going to grab some basil here.
And this is a very cool way to cut your basil.
So what you do is you roll your basil together, right? Roll these leaves together. And then, again, keeping your fingertips tucked in, thinly slice this basil.
So it'll come out like ribbons.
Exactly.
You'll impress the whole family.
All right, guys, there we are.
Okay.
So see, this is what we're looking for. See this? This little thin, ribbony basil? That's what we want. So go ahead and top that here on our caprese pizza. You can also do whole basil leaves. But the challenge there is that it's going to be a bit overwhelming for somebody's palate to get a whole bite of basil, which is why I like doing this shredded julienne basil.
Yeah,
plus, it's julienne, sounds fancy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Of course. Julienne. And it looks pretty. Also.
Exactly. We're going to finish with some aged balsamic vinegar as well. So this is just a really simple finish. Again, I'm just going to go right on top here.
And actually, Brenda, who joined us, she just made cauliflower crust last night.
Oh, great!
And better than the first time, which is, I truly believe that it just gets better as you keep making it.
Absolutely. Keep tweaking those recipes. I started at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I cooked it for 30 to 35 minutes. What I would do next time to, again, continuously improve on that recipe is to start at 400, go for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then drop my heat down to about 300 to 250.
Great.
Only because you really want to cook it slowly and let it dry out. The drier it is, really the better it's going to end up being.
Mm-hmm. And Tisha and Megan, thank you so much for joining us. We're nearing the end, so if you want to re-watch any of the show, you can always do that on the GBMC Facebook page. And then Anne Maria, who gets all the food that you cook? Well, and we can answer that.
Yeah,
we do.
We do.
And anyone at the WMAR studio that wants some. And then what kind of pizza sauce do we use? You can have any of the jarred or canned tomato sauces that have 5 grams of sugar or less. So you're really looking at the sugar content for any of the pizza sauces that you choose. Okay? All right, so this is, again, my mom's favorite part.
Yes, this is the tricky part for doing this.
Where we get to eat it.
I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut directly on the tray. So, pro tip, cut directly on the tray and make your crust a little bit thicker.
Okay.
All right, so okay, guys, we can just cut this just like a traditional pizza.
All right, very nice. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you guys. See this? See that browning on the bottom? That's from the olive oil. All right.
Okay, I'm ready.
Pepperoni and little Gouda. Let's give this a try.
Is there any good herbs to put on this one?
On this, you can do parsley. Parsley is going to be a very classic one for this.
Not about parsley.
You need a little bit. Our old buddy parsley sneaking up on us again.
All right, thank you, Amy, for joining us.
Okay. These bad boys up.
I'm gonna taste it.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay.
Yum.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Very good. So that's the one with the shredded Gouda.
Correct.
Red sauce.
Yep. And pepperoni.
And pepperoni. Right. Very good. And the flavors go very nicely together.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is the turkey pepperoni.
Exactly.
Chev, rosemary, and mushrooms. Okay. And Chris sees the Rite Aid pan right here. Yes. Just a little trip down memory lane. That
was a fun day.
Yeah. So, you know, Mike brings his own pans and stuff, and he forgot the pan one day, so he had to run out to Rite Aid to get one. It all worked out.
Surprisingly, Giant did not have any pans.
So if you're looking for a pan, Rite Aid has really good ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to take a bite of this.
Please go right ahead.
Mm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Very good.
All right.
I have to say that the rosemary goes very well with the mushrooms.
Mm-hmm. That's a very classic combination.
If you love mushrooms, the rosemary is going to be it. All right, and we're going to wrap up now. I will be trying these afterwards. But thank you so much to everyone that joined us. I want to give a huge thank you to WMAR.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much to WMAR and all their great people here.
And thank you to you guys for all showing up. If you need to see anything that you missed, you can always catch us on the GBMC page.
Absolutely. And hey guys, as well, if there are any topics that you're looking to learn more about, if there's something I'd love to learn more about this, I want to hear more about that. Maybe there's a little culinary 101, something like that. Like, hey, how do I hold a knife? How do I cut an onion? How do I saute? Know. Tell us. We are here. We would love to hear from you.
And we're open to suggestions.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. It was such a pleasure. Again, hit us up on Facebook with questions and comments.
And thank you.
Yeah,
have a great night.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again.
We'll see you next month.